If you are hearing this, you have once again tuned into the Consequence of Habit podcast. Hey, this next guest, I've actually never met the man before, and I felt like I was talking to an old friend. As soon as I got this whole project started, I'm not even quite sure how we hooked up on social media, but he's just been a huge supporter of everything I've done. And to look at his journey, I started doing research on him when I was looking for guests, and it's just absolutely amazing. This man was 350 pounds, and I don't even know what he's down to. I think 110 pounds. No, it's a joke. He's not that light, but he lost just an amazing amount of weight. He's done it through exercise. He's done it through cutting out alcohol, and just like all the other guests, just having that honest conversation with themselves and doing what they have to do to become a better version of themselves. So this episode, we've got on Mr. Rob I keep messing this up. I'm having problems with names. Rob Sievewright. Please check him out on his Instagram page at Rob Sievewright. That link will be attached to this. So just a cool story, great journey, very personable. I mean, I felt like I was talking to somebody I've known for a very long time. Great talk. I'll shut up. Here it is. All right, this is it. We are on with Mr. Rob Sievewright. It took me a couple times trying to figure out how to say that. Rob, I appreciate you coming on, man. The funny thing is, it's the second time we've actually spoken, but the weird thing is I actually feel like I'm talking to an old friend, which is kind of strange since you've kind of been a huge supporter of the podcast and kind of the Consequence of Habit thing since I started. I'm not even quite sure how we ended up hooking up with each other here, but I'm actually really excited about this one because you and I have been going back and forth a little bit for a while now trying to make this happen. So I thank you very much for coming on, man.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you having me on. I'm honored, and I'm glad to share my journey with everybody. And if I can help anybody that is starting to go through what I went through in a whole multiple group of phases, then so be it, man. That's my goal, is to help others. So
cool.
Yep.
Cool. All right, man. Well, let's start in the beginning. Let's start. Where are you from? Just tell me a quick backstory, where you grew up, where you're from, and how you got to where you are now.
Yeah, I grew up in New Jersey. That's where all my family's from. Grew up there. Had a great life, man. Grew up, middle upper class. Went to private schools. My parents gave me and my brother the best education they could. Went on, great family vacations, had a great childhood growing up. Ended up going to Lynchburg College down in Virginia. And that's where I am now. Ended up staying here. Met a girl there and got married, which I'm since divorced from her, which is probably one of the best things that happened to me in my life. And looking back at it anyway. And it's wild, man. I started out, I drank a little bit in high school, got into the college thing and drank in college, weekends, Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights and stuff. And we had, parties and all that, the normal college thing kind of. And then, out of college, I didn't drink as much. And I think that the divorce probably threw me into that tailspin of starting to drink more, of course. But just down the road, I mean, we're looking 15, 16 years ago that happened. It started, and been sober for 3 years now. So just, trying to better myself every day and keep it going and work at it.
Yeah. And I want to make sure I got this on here because really, I mean, we're kind of just brushing over a ton of time here, but I encourage everyone to go ahead and check out this guy's Instagram page, and that's Robbie Sievewright, right? Am I saying that right? At Robbie Sievewright, and I'll have that link on here on the back side of it because the only problem about, or one of the problems about doing this of just audio is to see a transformation like you went through in picture, and that's what blew me away.
Right.
So you and I started corresponding back and forth, and I think I was getting on here, and just because of my journey with alcohol, I was kind of looking for other like-minded people, and I found you, and then I saw the picture, And I was like, good God, man, this guy has made a huge transformation. And that's really what this is about.
Right.
You know, I didn't want this to turn into just a recovery podcast, because that's not what it is.
Right.
You know, the whole thing of consequence of habit, there's a lot of consequences to a lot of different habits. And from what I can see, you changed a lot more than just not drinking.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So first of all, let's walk back. When you were in the worst of it, and I'm not talking about just drinking, but please include that. You know, what was your lifestyle? What was your lifestyle like that got you where you were?
Oh man, I was in a hole, man, almost 6 feet deep. I felt like when I look back at it, man, I was 350 pounds. I really didn't care. I could have, if you would have put money on it, that alcohol was going to take my life, I would have bet on that, man. I mean, it was bad. I didn't care about anything but that 5:30 beer, man. I mean, I did my job great. Didn't drink during the day at work. None of that ever came into play. Just 5:30 on till the evening, until I went to bed, get up and do it all at work, go to work, come home and do it. But yeah, 350 pounds, man, just ate like crap. I was a slob, dude. I mean, I woke up one day, it was April 2016. 2017. And I looked at myself, man, and I was like, this has got to stop, man. I said, this is ridiculous. I have 2 young children, a godly wife that who knows why she hadn't left me, you know? I am blessed that she stayed with me, and I have the best family married life now that I could ever ask for, man. I mean, for her staying with me, she's been my rock. She has been through it all, and God bless her, because without her, I wouldn't be where I am now, with her support and family support and friend support. And that's the thing too, going through this, not just alcohol and the weight loss, like I had to make some changes in my people I hung out with. There was people I hung out with that you find out who your true friends are. And there's a social circle that I don't see anymore. I don't deal with them because, you know, who I thought my friends were not my friends. And it was hard to do that, but you got to be with people that make you better, not people that bring you down. My support group now is great, and everyone is uplifting to each other and making each other the best we can be in life, man, and to help others. So, I was 350 pounds, man. I woke up that day, like I said, in April of 17. And I told my wife, I said, I'm ready to quit. I'm ready to stop drinking. And she didn't know what I drank. I mean, she thought I drank maybe a 6-pack a day. I mean, my vice was the blue platinum bottles, man, 6% Bud Light Platinums, which, man, I see those bottles now and I'm like, oh, you got to stay away, you know? But that's the furthest thing from my mind now. 3 years later, man, it's unreal. Like, I don't know. It's funny. It doesn't even strike a nerve or anything when I see, none of that bothers me. I know where I'm at. I know where I am with my family. And that's the thing. That day changed my life, man. I told my wife, I said, I need help and I'm going to go get help. And I checked myself into a detox for 3 days. And the thing that struck me the most, because she didn't know how much I was drinking at the time, is when I went into the counselor, she wasn't there, and they were like, yeah, we're not going to say anything. How much have you been drinking? I was like, man, I drink probably 18 beers a day, platinums. And okay, well, that's, we're not, it's all confidential. And then we go in, they getting ready to hook me up to IVs and stuff, because I was just so, overweight, on high blood pressure meds, everything. And I wanted to do it right and have a doctor nearby. I had a buddy that's got property in West Virginia. He's like, man, we'll just go up to the mountains for 4 days. I was like, dude, I'll die up there if I try to detox myself. Right. I was like, you're crazy. So I did this, and we're sitting. I remember this like it was yesterday, man. I was sitting in that bed, my wife on my side, and the doctor comes in. He's like, all right, man, so how much you drink a day? And she looked over at me, and I was like, 18 beers a day, man. And she started, and she just, the look on her face, man, like it's still etched in my mind. Yeah. Like for her to hear that and know the truth, it hurt bad. From then on, that was it. That was it, done. The start of that, man. And then there's my, the start of my journey. Was in there for 3 days, got out. And once I saw myself unlocking my potential, I substituted my drinking with fitness. Started I mean, being so overweight, I started with diet.
Mm-hmm.
I cut out fast food. I work on a road a lot, so I'd stop fast food sometimes twice a day, plus all the drinking. Now I maybe have fast food once a year on the way to the beach. We stop or get something, I don't eat that. I pack my lunch at work. Meal replacements from Mountain Ops, who I've used forever, who has helped in my journey with my weight loss. The meal replacements, eating healthy, and fitness. I started doing a quarter mile an evening on the treadmill. Started there. Then got up to 5 miles, an evening. Be on that thing for an hour, be like nothing. Then I started jogging. Jog a mile, walk a mile, jog a mile. Just baby steps, man. But unlocking the potential, seeing where I was headed, and seeing the changes, even a little positive change of a couple pounds here and there, man. I mean, I lost 130 pounds overall, which is a lot of weight. And it's funny. I found a pair of my pants the other day, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
So you think the tailor can take those in? Those are nice jeans, man. And I don't wear jeans often. I was like, you think that, and I was like, those are nice jeans. And my wife's like, just give them away. Like, get rid of them. But seeing that little bit of change just pushed me and kept pushing me in the right direction with the right support group, the exercise, the diet, the sobriety, man. I mean, and, through those changes with fitness, I actually, when I got down to my lowest, which is like 220 from the 350, I started having some hip problems, man. And I was like, man, what's going on here? So last July, I went up to a specialist. They thought it was I went to a local doctor in Lynchburg. They thought it was a torn labrum in my hip socket, which is a common sports issue, whatever. And they're like, yeah, torn labrum, go to see this specialist at UVA. So I go up to UVA. This guy was like top ortho. He was like the Patriots and Red Sox ortho, good guy. And he's in there, and UVA is like a learning hospital. So there's a lot of there were students in there with the doctor, and he pulls up the x-ray. He's like, dude, you need a full hip. And I was like, what are you talking about? It's just a torn labrum, bud. He's like, no, man. And the first question he asked me was, do you drink a lot of alcohol?
Really?
Yeah. Evidently, I have something called avascular necrosis, which is the heads of the femurs have deteriorated. So, I mean, they were hollow. Like my left one I had replaced in December was about to collapse on itself. It was so bad, so hollow. And what happens, I guess, is the alcohol and drinking takes the nutrients out of your bones, and it cuts off the blood vessels, which stop feeding the nutrients to the bones. That, along with steroids, which not like anabolic, like I used to get gout a lot when I drank in my feet, and it was awful, man. And a lot of that was from the alcohol.
Right.
They'd put me on prednisone to knock it out. So, and I never quit drinking. I never stopped drinking while I was on this medication. So between the two, it just ate up my bones, man. And I can't blame anybody but myself, which looking back, it sucks. Yeah. But just another bump in the road, man. I got the second one done 2 weeks ago, and move on, keep going. You can't slow down, man. I mean,
dude, you've been killing it since you got it done too. But before we get into that, I want to go back. I want to go back to you're sitting in that room, and this has been a theme, and I think it's a theme across the board for people with bad habits. Look, we're not proud of them, right? And we certainly don't want to. We don't want to put them out there to our loved ones because they have this image of who you are, right? They've got Rob. He's the father, the husband, the hunter. Even though what's going on inside your head, we're good at portraying that image. And to be honest with it, I've said it before. I've gone back and we talked about it in the last podcast was shame, man, and to put that stuff out there to the ones that love you the most. It's hard. It is without a doubt some of the hardest things you can do. I know what it's like to even have my wife, I think deep down they know. And sometimes it's even a feeling of, I know my wife, she's just been amazing through this, but I think they almost feel bad for not knowing, where they almost feel like a sense of guilt because they don't know everything that's going on. And it's kind of almost be a sense of betrayal a little bit, I'm sure.
It was for sure. And I had it pegged though, man. I had it down. I had a gun safe in the basement. I was the only one with a key to. I kept an extra case of beer in there so I would never run out.
Right.
I had the toolbox on my truck. I just had the spots, man. And I had a key locked up. No one's going to find it,
Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of too is habit. You're used to doing something, and to break that habit, like the first couple weeks when I was sober, man, driving by that one store on the way home was like, it's just in your head for doing it for so long. And it's like, man, you get that out of your mind, and a month later it was gone. It's like, and then I go in there to buy a pack of gum or something. The guy's like, man, you haven't been in here forever, man. Beer sales are down. What's going on? And I'm like, listen, dude, I'm done.
Yeah. I go in to buy non-alcoholic beer, and the guy knows me. He knows my name. So I walk and he's like, Josh, where you been? I'm like, yeah, I'm sure. And you're right. I mean, I joke around about it. I'm like, God, I know that guy probably has to take one less vacation a year since I quit. Like things just aren't the same for him. But it's a great feeling to go in there and buy something and knowing, because it was a sense of guilt. You keep going to the same place. Like, dude, is it normal to be in this place this many times? Like, this guy should not know my first name unless we were friends before he bought the place. So, yeah. All right. So you start the detox thing. You do that for 3 days. Now, are you part of a group after that? Like, what's that look like? What's that process look like? You just did it on your own from that point on?
I pretty much did it on my own from that point on with my family and stuff. I did go to a counselor a couple times, which I actually found it kind of useless. I think I was actually helping her more than she was helping me. I mean,
that's funny.
I don't know. But I went there a couple times just because that's, the wife was kind of like, well, I just think you should do this. And I said, okay, that's fine. I've never been down this road. I'm willing to try it, and then after that, it just, I found my groove and rolled with it from there and been.
What do you think, without getting too deep and actually acting like your counselor, what do you think you ever end up escaping from? Was it just the fact that you're overweight, or is it that you felt like you weren't unlocking potential? Like, what were you trying to get away from?
Man, to be honest with you, I started drinking at my heaviest when my kids were born, and I don't want to blame and say it's on them. I think I was just stressed to freak out, man. I think, having a family and going down that road and starting out, I think that was my escape, man. I'd get home and pop the top, and that was took the edge off. And then next thing I know, 15 beers later, it's like, whoop, and that's the funny thing. Like, I could drink a 12 pack and sit here and talk to you, and you would, without you smelling it on me, you probably wouldn't even know I had a beer, man. I had it so down. It was ridiculous.
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean. And I used to look at it and I would say that almost with a sense of pride. Like I would drink wine or beer and I could have a conversation with you and you wouldn't know it.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm embarrassed by that at the same time. You know what I mean? Like, there's some people that can and some that can't. And like I've said it in other ones, or I was almost jealous of the people that can't, because it was one or the other. You better not have any, because you're going to be a sloppy mess. The people that can pull it off, they're the ones you need to worry about, because they can appear to balance it. So you start making this change. You start making this change with your diet. How long into that were you like, oh man, this is it? I'm off to the races now?
I'd say just diet alone and stopping the booze, I probably lost, I'd say I lost 20 pounds probably in the first 3 months, man, just from doing that. And then I was like, dude, if I can just do this by just diet and cutting that out, I was like, man, getting on that treadmill or hiking or doing whatever. I mean, it was unbelievable, man. I mean, and my motivation when I woke up that day in April, man, I just had a vision of me dying and my wife finding another man that raised my children. And that scared the living shit out of me, man. I was like, I don't want some other dude coming in my house, being with my wife, being there, my kid's father. That was my initial motivating factor, man. I was like, this is not going to happen. I said, I can't let this happen.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was that one day I woke up and that hit me like that. It was that pushed me in that direction.
Yeah.
But yeah, the weight loss, the start of the weight loss, man, that, like I said, seeing any little change in my pants size or a shirt or something. I mean, I was wearing triple X's, like it's nuts. And just seeing those changes, man, for yourself. And it's like, wow, like I'm doing this, like I can do this,
Yeah. It's funny because it's really easy to get on people's social media and you see them making this positive change. You're like, oh, that's great. That really inspires me. But at the end of the day, for a lot of those people, you, me, there's a lot of people in our boat. That shit is life or death. Like I don't care how many likes, how many people are following you. It is life or death.
Right.
And even the time you are alive, like this theme that I have, or I'm trying to develop, is living the most of what we've got. Like for me, I spent way too much time half-assing it, just existing. And I have an amazing family. I got an amazing wife. I got amazing kids. I've got a good career, but I'd be lying if I said that there isn't a ton of shit I could be doing. I could be doing more. Like, let's squeeze the most out of this thing. And that's what, to me, it seems like that, you made that switch and that's exactly what you're doing.
Well, and see, that's the thing. I've been similarly getting into a theme like that where life's a race, man. And at the end of it, I want to show that I've done something with it. I want there to be something that, hey, I did the best I could with what I had. And I ran the race the best I could, because at the end of the day, man, you get one, you get one.
Yeah.
So.
And dude, what an awesome example too, because so many kids grow up, and I don't know what your childhood was like. You grow up and you see an example, and to me, like you always see these things. It's not what you tell your kids, but it's what you show them. And dude, you can't. What an amazing example to show. Hey, I had this issue, but there's an alternative. I changed it. Look at me. This is a prime example of what you can do. Because a lot of people, I don't know how old you are. I'm in my mid-40s. There are not a lot of people making huge changes at this point in our lives.
No, I had my 9-year-old boy, Wyatt, found a hard copy picture of me my wife printed for me as a reminder that's sitting in a drawer. And he found it the other day. And so he was 6 when I started my journey doing this. And he doesn't really remember what I looked like then. Mm-hmm. And he found this picture, man. And it hit me hard because he was like, who's this guy, Daddy? And it's me at my 350 with like longer hair. And I was like, that's your daddy, buddy. That's me 3 years ago. And he was like, huh?
Yeah. So now you've hunted the entire time. Am I correct?
I have. My brother lives in Colorado, so I do my favorite week of the year is elk hunt out there with him and my dad. Just the three of us go, and it's become epic now, man. I mean, I'm hunting 10,000 feet at the best shape of my life, and it's awesome. Like before, when I was 350 dragging ass, I still got it done, and I've killed a few, in that shape, but not like it's just not. Now it's so much more enjoyable, man. Like just being there, being alive, like it's night and day, man. Night and day.
Yeah, dude, I imagine you just got to be so much more capable of getting out there and doing this stuff. Hey, what has been? I mean, did your dad and brother know that this whole thing was going on, or is it like you showed up and they're like, "Good God, man, where's the rest of you?" I mean,
no, my dad actually lives about 5 miles from me, and he quit. He stopped drinking 5 months after I did, just not because I asked him to or anything like that. And he's been sober for 2.5 years. Wow. And he's just the person that can turn it on and turn it off. He's done that his whole life. Like he'd drink and get a little heavy into it. And he'd stop for a couple of years. And I thought I could do that, but evidently not, you know?
Yeah.
But my brother drinks still, and he'll drink around me in elk camp when we're hunting up at the cabin and stuff. And it doesn't bother me. What bothers me is people that know what I've been through and are like scared to drink in front of me. Like, hey, is it okay if I have a beer? I'm like, dude, I have my life. I've made my decisions. You do what you want to do. It's not going to bother me, but that kind of irks me a little bit when people are like, man, do you mind if I drink? And I know they you know, they're respecting my feelings, which is great. But at the same time, I'm like, dude, do what you do. That's fine.
Yeah. That is a weird thing, because then it makes it uncomfortable. It's like, just because you're on a diet doesn't mean I'm not going to have a French fry in front of you. Like,
right.
You know, and you're making it weird now. Like, you know, I'm in control of myself enough that just because you're having a beer, I'm okay. I'll be all right.
Right.
So I completely get it. Hey, you had mentioned that you had to change your circle. And I'm a huge advocate of that you become what you surround yourself with, or at least I would tell my kids that. That was my big thing. Right. I said, I don't care how smart you are, if you surround yourself with people that are not as smart as you, where if you're the smartest person in the room, then you know you're in the wrong room. Right. Or if you could be a great person, but you surround yourself other people with that are have a compromised moral compass, you will become them.
Right.
Did you have to have any hard conversations with people in your circle that you just couldn't be around anymore?
It kind of more or less faded out.
Yeah.
And I think they, in the back of their mind, understood what was going on with me and knew that it was done, and just kind of left it at that type of thing. You know, I never really had to have a heart to heart with anybody and say, I can't hang out with you because you drink, you know. It kind of just, I went my way, they went their way. I waved to them on the road. It's about it, you know?
Have any of those people reached out to you as far as, hey, you know, I see the journey you're on, and you know, I'd like to maybe take that same path?
I had a friend of mine do that, and I think he started out down the right path, and I tried to help him as much as I could, and he went back to the, you know, the dark side. I mean, he just, And you know what? I can only help someone so much where they're not going to take accountability and do for themselves what needs to be done, you know? And that's what I tried to explain to him. And he was like, well, how can, you know, you can do it. And I was like, well, we're different people, but I'll help you as much as I can. But until you accept that and move forward, you know, I can't do anything else. You know, I had to make the decision for me to stop and go through what I did in the process to get there. You need to do the same thing and be accountable for yourself and your actions. I can't do that for you.
Yeah.
So, you know, and I think they were kind of jealous to see where I was in how I'd done it and how I'd gotten through it and where I was at that time. And that's what made them want to do it, to try to, you know, better their life. And like I said, I did everything I could to help them, man. And, you know, like I said, we wave on the road on the way back and forth to work or whatever. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah, that is a weird thing. Well, not weird, but you know, we're all grown-ups, and sometimes, and I've done it in other avenues of my life. If you see somebody doing something really good, you want to jump in and go along for the ride. But if it's not yours, you know, you're not doing it for a personal reason, then you're probably setting yourself up to fail. And being invested in somebody else in a thing like sobriety is a tough thing, because to be honest with you, if you look at the numbers, most people that have come out and said, I have an issue, will go back to whatever that is. You know what I mean?
Right.
We're in a pretty cool group of people where they've, you know, so,
I've never had a relapse. Thank God. Like, I've never even, at the beginning, you know, I had some tough times, like the first time at elk camp and then at the beach. And there were certain situations where, man, it's a nice fall day. It's beautiful to sit on my deck, and man, I'd love to have a cold one, you know, but can't just have one because it's going to be turning out to 18, you know? I mean, it's just, I had some tough situations like that, but at the start, but now
we got to weigh
life
it.
is good.
Yeah, you got to weigh it. You know, you got to weigh that what is it worth? Is it worth that momentary thing? And I've always had a problem of delayed gratification is a concept that I have to work on. Right. So I have to keep that long game in mind because, hey, you know, my daughter turned 21, and so there's alcohol in the house, and there's a lot of people in our boat that is a no. Matter of fact, I brought it up at a meeting and got yelled at for it. But everybody's journey is different, and for me, it's been okay. So yeah, you gotta look, man. Is this really worth that one night of being at camp and once you've done it for yourself, like when you've done it for yourself, man. I would just dread that morning and, you know, the next morning.
Right.
Yeah. And
I look at it and I'm like, I'm sorry.
No. I talk to other people and they've been good for a long time, and then they relapse. And my biggest thing I feel for them is sympathy, because I can't imagine what that next day must have felt like.
Right. And that's where I look at it, man. I'm like, I look back and I'm like, first of all, the money I poured into that, man, especially like the last 5 years of my drinking, I calculated I could have bought a brand new F-250 diesel Lariat, cash sitting in my driveway. You know, I'm like, what did I do? What good did I do? You know? Right. And if I had relapsed, man, I think in the back of my head, it's like, I think that would hurt me more now to relapse than the whole initial thing. Like, I think for seeing all the work I've done, for me to have a drink, I think it would kill me. It would hurt me bad to do.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I hear you. Hey, I want to talk. All right, so let's get into this hip thing, man, because it's just, to me, another example of you facing an issue and then just motoring through it and what appears to me to be doing just an amazing job at it. So how long ago did you get the first hip taken care of?
I got the left one done December 4th of 19. So about 6 months ago. And that's when I'd never been on social media, and I was sitting around in January like, oh, you know, what am I doing here? You know, reading books. And then I was like, well, my wife's always like, oh, you'll never get on Facebook or something. So I was like, yeah, you're right. I got on Instagram today.
That's funny.
And that's when I started just mostly for hunting stuff and, you know, seeing what people were doing and other ideas and that type of thing. And then I was like, man, maybe I can use this, you know, to help other people in other ways. When I sent Jordan at Mountain Ops, he's the vice president of the Jordan Harbison. I sent him a picture of my transformation with the 2 pictures of me that you've seen. Mm-hmm. And I said, hey, buddy, I just want to thank you for your products. You know, just off the cuff, sent him a private message. And, you know, thank you for helping me along my journey. You know, this is what I've used along with a lot of exercise and diet, you know. And he fired it up and sent it on Instagram and sent it on his story. And I had all sorts of people looking at it and this and that. And which kind of was like, whoa, this is kind of cool. Like, if I can help other people. And then I had people contacting me like, hey, what'd you do? You know, and then about the sobriety thing too. Once I posted that, my 3-year sobriety, I had people like, hey man, like, you know, I think I'm going down that same path. Like, what happened? So I've helped a handful of people in different things. I had a guy yesterday with me posting my hip thing, reached out to me, said, hey, I'm 39. I need a total hip replacement, you know? And I kind of, you know, I said, hey, anytime you got any questions, buddy, reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to, you know, answer your questions. I said, I had a great surgeon, did both of mine, no problems, you know, God willing, you get the same treatment. Cause I mean, my mobility is phenomenal. Like, I woke up from my first surgery, my left hip, man, I had dealing with so much grinding bone pain for probably a year. Just awful pain. When I woke up from that surgery, man, it was gone.
Wow.
First one was 45 minutes. He did the whole hip, left one, my wife went to get a cup of coffee in the waiting room. He came out. My in-laws were there, and they were like, "What? You're done? 45 minutes, done." I
Amazing.
walked out of the hospital 2 hours later.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, with a walker, of course, but I mean, I walked out. So,
Yeah, and that's a, I
and
mean,
same with
that's a serious. I mean, just from the things you posted on there to see those
yeah,
pieces of metal in there, that's legit. I
right.
mean, that's like not a little surgery.
No, it's don't ever watch it. I watched that sucker on YouTube, man. The surgery, how it's done before I had it done, and I was like, I
Oh
was
hell,
freaking out, man. I was like,
yeah,
this is awful, man. This guy's getting pounded with a sledgehammer putting this thing in. Like,
yeah,
oh, well,
yeah.
maybe I shouldn't have watched that. But no, great surgeon. Everything went according to plan. My rehab. And see what I did beforehand. I always, I mean, I go to the gym every day, but I did specifically doubled my leg workouts 3 months prior to both surgeries just to get as much muscle on there as possible, have them in as best shape as possible so the recovery would be
Yeah.
easier.
Yeah. Hey, can you imagine
Um,
going through this surgery, being 350 pounds and drinking
they wouldn't have
every,
done it. They wouldn't
no.
have done it. He said, he's like, we wouldn't have done it. And he said, even if I was bigger, my scars on my legs, I mean, he would have had to do it on the side, which would have been like 12 to 16 inch cut
Good
compared
God.
to like the 8 inch on the back. Recovery would have been awful, I'm sure. Um, but yeah, it's incredible, and it has to do with my age, man. I'm 40. I just turned 41 in this past January, man. I mean, I'm not your typical candidate to get a double hip replacement by any
Mm,
means,
right.
but it's great that I can get it done now because my life is this young in my life, and without to be pain free and to do what I want to do back to normal is going to be great, man. I mean, I'm so looking forward to it and being able to do more. Like we go hike, I live down from the Appalachian Trail, like 15 minutes, man, and it's there's some awesome hiking there. And my wife's like, yeah, when you're back to 100%, we can go hiking every weekend with the kids and this and that, and just get outdoors more than I have been in the last year.
Mm.
But yeah,
Uh,
looking forward to it.
so I know, I've seen from your posts that the Mount Ops guys have supported you along the way, and you've certainly used their products. They put you out on social media, but that's not the only person in the hunting fitness community that has taken interest in your story.
Right.
You and I talked yesterday. Uh, who put you up on their story yesterday?
Yeah, good old Cameron Haynes put
Yo,
me up on their story about had my did some rehab yesterday. Posted a picture of me on the on the assault bike because I can't run, and I probably won't run much ever again, just to take care of the prosthetics in my legs. Because 25 years are probably going to be done. I'm probably going to need to get them again when I'm 65, which is kind of worrisome. But
mm,
25 years, just think about what they'll be able to do then.
yeah,
But yeah, Cameron Haynes posted me up there. He posted it before on my sobriety and my weight loss too. And I love his mantra, man. You know what? He does what he does. He is such a motivating factor to a lot of people. And since I got on Instagram in January, I've heard of him before. And, but when I started following him in January, man, he's such a great dude that what he does for the social media community, and it's awesome, man. I was very impressed when I saw mine up there. Had a big smile on my face, was very blown away that he would put that up there of me. And it's actually, I've had a lot of people hit my page, I think, because of him. But
yeah.
great dude, man.
So we talked yesterday because this whole Cameron Haynes thing, it's been a weird phenomenon for both of us because I was fortunate enough to interview Taylor Spike, and that was the last episode. And the entire time during the interview, after the interview, I mean, I didn't find out till probably a week later that his brother was Cameron Haynes. Now, you and I had already set this thing up. We knew that this was what was going to go down.
Right.
And then I find out, and I don't have a ton of friends on social media where I interact with, but I knew you would probably know who he is because we follow the same people. And I said, hey, I was on vacation. And I hit you up. I'm like, dude, Taylor Spike is Cameron Haynes' brother. and you're like, oh, no shit, man, that's pretty cool. And then come to find out, yesterday, Cameron Haynes throws you up on his thing, and I don't know, man. I don't know what alternate universe we're in, but the whole thing just seemed awfully strange that the day before we're sitting down here and doing this today. So it is pretty crazy.
And then he posted a picture of him and Taylor as kids.
Yes.
Up there right after my picture, which I was like, I thought that was even more quirky, man.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny.
Yeah.
Just how.
Yeah. So, very strange. So anyone who wants to check out his brother too, check out the last episode with Taylor Spike, man. That was one of the most moving conversations I've been part of. So what's next for you, man? What plans do you have now? Once those hips are up and you're hiking, you got anything you're shooting for? Any plans?
I'm trying to get together an elk hunt for this fall. Actually, this should have been the 10th year. My dad, my brother, and I go out to Colorado and hunt. And my brother's having his first kid the end of October, so congratulations to him. But my elk hunt's canceled with them this year, so yeah. I'm trying to set something up for myself. I got a buddy in Montana that's got some land and stuff, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back 100% and take my time and make sure it's right, because I don't want to, like right now I'm in the window of easy. The dislocation factor is easy, which is frightening to me. And it's about the first 90 days where that sucker can just pop out for certain movements and stuff. So I just, it's like I said, taking it easy and looking back, can't wait to get back in the gym once this is good to go, man. I mean, it's
so I interviewed a guy named Robert Swan. He was he's a polar explorer, and he had the same surgery, and he was on.
I saw that.
Yeah, he was on one of his expeditions when his popped out. That's a bad place for it to happen.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I asked the doctor, I said, hey, man, if this thing comes out, he's like, oh, you're going to know it, man. He's like, it's going to be the worst thing you've ever felt.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And, not hoping for that.
Hey, you mentioned people reaching out to you, and it's been happening to me some too. And I got to be honest with you, there is nothing that fuels me more than hearing other people say, hey, this has helped me. This has been a huge influence in me. I'm reaching out to you. I need some help. Just tell me about your journey. And there's a sense of pride when you've changed your life around. I mean, you've literally done a 180 and transformed your life.
Right.
But even more than that, when you start transforming other people's lives through that, dude, that's the most inspirational thing in the world.
It is. And what I tell people, when I quit drinking, that was the hardest thing I've ever done, hands down. And once that was accomplished, man, everything else was easy. Was easier. Everything fell into place and just was easier. It was like, I can do this, bam, and I used to sit on the sideline and kind of sit back and not, avoid confrontation and avoid pushing myself. But now I feed off of that, man. I feed off adversity, man. If you say I can't do it, I'm like, yeah, screw you. I can't do it. I've done this. You kidding me, man? That's nothing.
Yeah.
That's
been a really common theme with people I've had on is, if you want something, the worst thing you can say to them is, hey, you can't do this.
Right.
You mentioned something before about, hey, this is just another challenge. And another thing I've really seen is people that don't have that victim mentality. Because when you see other people doing good, and like you said, you would watch these people and you'd wish that they wouldn't do. Like, I'm victim to that all the time. Like, hey, this guy, he's different than me. He had it easier. No, he didn't.
No.
He didn't have it easier. He could have drank just like you did. He could have done all of these things just like you. So if you're going to play victim and have excuses, then dude, you are going to be in the same place you are in right now.
Right. And I have a couple people that have reached out to me, like I said, on Instagram, and I have it written down in a notebook, these people, and I follow up with them, man, like a couple of weeks. I'm like, hey, bud, how you doing? Just checking on you. And they appreciate that. And I appreciate seeing them. Like, there's one guy, Um, he's on the weight loss journey, and he's actually got a hip problem too. And he's I think mid 40s, has a couple kids, and he's down like 30 pounds now since I talked to him like 3 months ago, man. And great, he's doing awesome. I talked to him the other day, and phenomenal, man. And he was so happy. I reached out to him to check on him and see how he was doing, man. And I love that, man. I love seeing other people, make that life change to better themselves. I mean, it's awesome. It's, it re-inspires me to keep going harder,
100%, 100%, man. And sometimes you need that because just like anything, there's ups and downs.
Right.
Is there a time throughout this process? Now, like you had said, I never relapsed. Was there a time that you found yourself falling back into certain things in your life that if you had continued may lead to that? And what I'm trying to say is, for me, I had a default mode, and my default mode, I have to fight it because I call it default mode for a reason, because it comes very natural to me, and that default mode can be very self-destructive. So I have to fight that. And the further I get away from drinking, the more I can recognize when I'm starting to get into those darker places. I don't know if you've had the same experience.
I had more on a fitness level than on a sobriety level. I think I was hitting the gym hard for 5:30 a.m., hour and a half every morning for, I don't know, 2 years. And that's when when I got injured and I couldn't do what I wanted to do. I kind of was falling back, and it really, I mean, mentally, man, it put a hurting on me, man. I was like, man, I can't do, cause I did a lot of CrossFit in that 2-year period. And I lifted heavy and probably did stuff I shouldn't do because I'm 41 and I'm not going to ever be like Rich Froning. So right. But just in trying to compete with these 20-year-olds that, I'm 20 years older than them, they're whipping my ass in the gym. But when I got that injury, I think that kind of put a hurting on me the most. But once I got it fixed, man, I tell you what, man, the sky's the limit. Once I see how well everything went with it, it brought everything right back to square one. So I mean, to sobriety wise though, I never really had that. Once it was gone, once that first 6 months I think was up, it was like swept gone, man. It was luckily for me, I like I said, it was gone. Now I got I know you're into the athletic beer.
I am. Yep.
Right. I got a buddy that's an ambassador for that too. And my wife's kind of like sketchy about it because she's like, oh, if you drink that, it might make you fall back into the hole and this and that. And, I haven't really gone there yet just because of that. I think I'm kind of in the back of my head. I'm like, man, do I really want to taste that? Is it going to push me over the edge?
I had the same conversation and the same worries from my wife.
Right.
She was really concerned about it, that it was going to be a trigger but everyone's, like I said, everyone's different. And
right.
The most important thing you can do is have an honest conversation with yourself. And you can say, hey, I'm having this honest conversation with myself to your wife or to the world or whatever. But at the end of the day, you know what your motivation is. And
right.
I had to ask myself that without a doubt, because I like good beer. For me, that was, like a craft beer. And I remember first time taking a sip of it and wondering, hey, I really enjoy this. Is it connected to the fact that my brain is going to relax and feel really good in 5 or 10 minutes? And what's funny about it is I would have 2 and I would just be like, all right, I'm good. Because I wasn't getting that other thing from it,
Right. Right.
But it can, for some people, it can be slippery slope. There's no doubt.
Right.
It's been really beneficial for me in social circles. just because, not that I mean, I get nothing but pride about not drinking alcohol, but I do get sick of explaining it at times.
Right. I'm with you.
So to me, it's a way, to enjoy myself, still have that taste, and huge shout out to Athletic Brewing. They've actually been a pretty important thing along my journey through sobriety, and I know that's not their goal, and I know I'm probably not even the demographic that they're exactly looking for, as far as, hey, people trying, but they've been huge for me. But
Right.
yeah, I get it, man. And the funny thing is, both of our wives, they got our best interest in mind. So I got nothing. Yeah, I got nothing but like love for them even worrying about that. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, listen. Is there anything you read on a regular basis? Is there, like, what other than Cameron Haynes? What are some of the things you look up to for motivation, for just ideas to live your best life?
Motivation wise, I really look in the mirror, man. And that's the thing. It's, I find myself, I'm a self motivator. And I look at those pictures, man. I look at what I've done, and it's funny because there's some people I hadn't seen in years that I ran into, and they didn't know who I was.
Yeah.
I just started talking to them like, "Hey, what's going on?" And they were like, and about 10 minutes later, they came back out and were like, "Rob, what happened? Are you sick?" And I'm like, "No, I'm the farthest from it, buddy." Like,
no, I'm cured. That's it. I'm cured.
Right, exactly. And it's it's like my little boy, if he gets scared of something, I tell him it's all right to be scared, buddy, but don't let the fear stop you from doing what you want to do.
Yeah.
And that's what I look at, and look in the mirror, like I said, in some of those old photos, and I'm like, you know what? That guy's gone, man. I am never going back there. It's never going to happen. My life right now is the best it's ever been.
Wow.
My family life, my wife, my job. I mean, I was always good at my job, but now it's like, it's bumped up even better, and yeah, I look at my life in the last 3 years is really my motivating factor. Like you said, there's some people I look up to on, social media and this and that, but at the end of the day, I really look at myself and say, hey man, I'm proud of what I've done, self-made, man, doing that. So
yeah, I like it. Yeah. When you can be good you can be good at your job, and like I always felt like I was a good father. I always felt like I was good at my job. And I even struggle sometimes getting on here and telling my story, because mine wasn't like this nightmare that a lot of people have. I still I showed up for work every day.
Right.
And I did my job, and it never interfered. And I didn't have a lot of the same ramifications that other people have had on their journey.
Right.
But do I believe it would still be a matter of life or death? Yes. And do I still believe that could it cost me some of the biggest, most important things in my life? 100%. You know what I mean? Because when you're feeling like crap about yourself, and there's a reason for me that I would eat like crap, that I would drink. You feel like shit about yourself,
Right.
and that will always rub off on the people around you, without a doubt. So you 100% will be better at everything. You're going to be a better dad, a better husband, better at work, just because you're better to yourself, man. And that's an important thing.
True statement.
Cool, brother. Listen, hey, do you have anything, any shout outs you want to give? Anything you want to promote? Like I said, we're gonna have your Instagram thing on here also.
I mean, I just, like I said, Jordan Harbison at Mountain Ops has been an awesome role model for me. When I started social media, looking up to him and their company. They're a great company, clean products. They do a great job at what they do, man. And I'm not sponsored by them. They don't give me anything. But I love their products, man. They're good, a good wholesome company to deal with. And yeah, they've helped me away, and I'll always, I'll always take their supplements, and I've had for the last 3 years that have helped me along my way. And, and you got to do the work too. You can't just take a meal replacement and sit on the couch, man,
Right.
It's just not going to work.
Yeah.
But, yeah. And I really appreciate you having me on to, if I can help anybody, if anyone ever wants to reach out to me on Instagram and send me a message and, has specific questions, I'd be more than happy to help answer them. And, I'm an open book, man. I'm not scared of, what I went through was what I went through, and so be it, man. If it helps the next guy down the road or girl down the road that's starting out their journey, either way, weight loss, sobriety or whatever, if it's something I can help them with, man, I will. So,
Rob, you've been like I said in the beginning, you've been a huge supporter of this. I'm really stoked that we made this happen, and I've really enjoyed just our interaction with each other, not just on this, but on social media leading up to this. So I'm excited to see where you're going with it. I mean, I see some big things coming for you, man, and I'm excited to watch your journey. And let's make this happen again sometime.
Yeah, definitely, man. I appreciate JT.
All right, brother.
All right, have a good day.
You too. All right, that's it. This is JT signing out. Consequence of Habit podcast. Thanks for listening. Please share this thing, guys, girls. I got these amazing guests on, and I want to get their stories out to the world because I think they're important. And that's it from me. Later.